Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another Beyond the Stars episode. I'm your co-host, Brian.
Hi, I'm Betzaira.
And today we have a lot to talk about. We have some really good personal questions about, the state of the world that we're living in right now. But before we get into that, we want to remind you that episodes come out every month. We want you to like, subscribe, and leave some comments, right, of what you think about the topics that we were mentioning today or in past episodes. If this is the first episode you're watching of Beyond the Stars, I think you should do it in chronological order. I don't know. I'm just kidding. But we have already talked about a lot of stuff. This is our fourth episode?
How many outfits have we changed?
How many what? Outfits?
How many outfits have we changed? We have a new outfit, new hair every time.
Literally, dude. That's so true. Yeah. New little.
Oh, Lord. Like 4 or 5.
Yeah. 4 or 5. Yeah.
4 or 5.
Little beyond the Stars Easter egg is like, how many haircuts has Bryan and Betzaira had?
Yeah.
No.
Which one are we on next? What's happening next?
But yeah, we have talked about so many things. We have an episode where we talk to a person who was inside of a detention center, right? And he told us his experience. He told us about his promise. And till this day, it's still something that holds very truth to us. And we really, encourage you to go watch it because it's a really nice episode. It really touches on a lot of stuff that, personally, I didn't think I was going to be able to, empathize with something like that at that point. But, oh my God, hearing it from his words, hearing what was happening inside, it's just insane. And then on top of that, we've also talked about, the power of stories. Each and every one of our stories holds power, holds truth, and it holds community in a way, right? And, we mentioned a lot about that. You can go, and I believe that's the first episode. So if you want to go back, check that episode out. And then you're going to learn all the gossip that me and Betzaira have had about our lives and how we immigrated here and how we ended up here. But yeah, that's a little bit of a recap of our past videos. I really encourage you to go watch them, go like them, put them in your safe watch for later, anything, so you don't forget to watch those episodes. It really is gonna, if you watch those episodes and then you watch this one, it's gonna feel more like you're not only a viewer, you're sitting right here with us in the conversation, right? So without further ado, I'll pass it to Betzaira, who's gonna get us introduced into today's episode, what we're gonna be talking about, and hit us with the heavy questions, man.
Oh, Lord, yeah. There's so much going on in the world. It feels like every day is a new fire that we're tending to.
And we're not talking about the heat.
Although that is another one. Politics-wise, there's a constant. We're back in this cycle of like constant attacks. Feeling like a lot of people are describing that they feel discombobulated, disoriented, nervous system overwhelmed, and trying to do the bare minimum to survive. And part of the reason why is that we have multiple genocides and political injustices being televised and broadcasted on readily available social medias. More than ever, we're seeing the famine, the starvation across the globe. And here in the United States, we're seeing constant attacks on our immigrant community and people of color as well, with the ICE rates. So our episode today is going to be a little bit of our thoughts and our experiences with those videos, with those instances on media, and what it looks like on the organizer side, especially in a nonprofit that is working to serve this community, what this looks like for our work, for our emotional health, and what we recommend for folks that are also engaging in this work or looking for ways to engage themselves in this. So it's gonna be another heavy topic. It's gonna be another heavy day.
Trigger warning in case all these ICE topics, these conversations that we're about to touch on really affect you. Just know that it could get heavy, it could get emotional. So yeah, just have that in mind for the rest of the episode. And another thing, ¿por qué no han dicho nada del nuevo setup? ¿Eh? Do you guys see this? Look at this new setup we have going on right now. I like it. I don't know. It feels good. What do you guys think? You should put a comment in the comment section, of course, and then be like, ew, what an ugly setup. That's just kidding, no. But yeah, just trigger warning, and enjoy the episode.
I can think of a couple things that I've seen recently regarding the ice raids, but what do you think? What do you think about them?
What I think about the ice raids is it's insane. It's scary. Um, Actually, matter of fact, today when I woke up, I woke up because I had a bad dream. I had like a really heavy dream, and turns out it was a dream where like a family member of mine was getting deported. Like I can't believe how how present it is in my life without really being present. Like gracias a Dios no ha pasado nada con mi familia o gente que yo conozca con ICE, pero o sea, el hecho de que esté en una parte de mi subconsciente, ahí sabes que está ICE y ICE, para que se manifieste en un sueño, like it just shows how stressed filled we are, or like
Mm-hmm.
personally me with this stuff, because, o sea, una cosa es de que obviamente tengo miedo, pero otra cosa es que tengo miedo al un día llegar y, ah, cabrón, no, no está mi hermano, ¿no? O no está mi mamá. ¿Sabes dónde están? ¿En qué la tienen? Cositas así. Ese miedo, ese constante miedo. Um, pero también me da una impotencia. Like, I just tengo impotencia de, I wish I could go out there and, like, stop the raids, right? Just being, like, you know, none of this is ever going to happen. Grab a magic wand and erase it out of existence, but I can't, right? And I can only do so much without also putting myself at risk and without also burning myself down, right? So it's been a constant battle of wanting to stop the ice raids, but also understanding that before I take care of others, I gotta take care of me. And yeah, it's just heavy, really heavy. What about you? How have you been dealing with those?
We just finished Summer of Dreams, and that's been super heavy on my mind every day. Um, the summer programs and how through this experience with being like with youth, teaching them every week and thinking about like what we're telling them, what we're bringing to the table. Because Brian and I were also leading a summer program for high school and college age students. So we got to talk about some of these things as they were happening. We got some questions from the kids as these things are happening, and building that connection with them this summer and thinking about how proud I am of them, and also how scary it must be for them, and feeling like, you know, we really are connected. Like kids are interaction with kids and teaching kids, I think, is one of those experiences in life that really humbles anybody that's open to the experience. And having those conversations with the kids, knowing what's outside, having to think about like, okay, what are the procedures? What can I do in case of like any emergency? That has been really traumatic, honestly. And I definitely empathize with the feeling of, you know, having like the night terrors and the anxiety and all that stuff, which is really interesting. I hadn't noticed this, but when the ice raids first started happening, it had been a while since I had kind of like subsided with, oh, and this is personal stuff now, but that I had a series of like nightmares that were like nonstop every night, had finally subsided for like, I think about 2 months, 3 months. And then the ice raids started. I started to see them on my timeline, and consistently, the LA protests that were going on, the instance when the man was tased in one of the Walmarts here in the city,
Yeah,
that was
that
super
was scary.
traumatizing.
Yeah,
And so seeing those things, I realized that also brought back a lot of like anxiety and night terrors and those symptoms for myself. And it was really interesting because it I realized that it was actually putting my body in survival mode, even if I wanted to tell myself that there are processes in place, even if I wanted to tell myself, oh, just trust that it's going to change, trust that it's not going to be like this forever. Mentally or logically, we know that. We talk about that, we prepare for that, we work towards that. But seeing it in your face every day, having such access to it, and then hearing it from the kids as well and knowing how much access they have to it now. I mean, at least I'm grateful that I have some experience with, for example, our curriculum, with different skill sets, with I've like had the experience of getting over other scary things in my life. But I'm thinking about the young people that might not, and how frustrating that has to be to have to know that there aren't resources for them.
And not just the resources, but also like the feeling of being hopeless, right? Like the feeling of like they're alone, right? Like they see all of this happening, and like I feel like some people might even think that they're just gonna wait for the moment it happens to them, right? Like they feel that hopelessness de que no se puede hacer nada más que esperar, y si pasa, pasa, y si no, pues ni modo. O sea,
Yeah.
ese tipo de sentimiento se ve mucho, y pues obviamente no solo con los jóvenes, sino lo he visto yo también con mi familia, ¿sabes? Con mis tíos, con mi mamá, mi hermano, todas esas cosas. O sea, ellos queriendo o no queriendo, sí tienen miedo. Like, even going to Walmart, bro. Like, let's talk a little bit about the one that happened here at Walmart, right? The man getting tased by the federal agents. That video was scary. That video, like, I don't know. It's just, to me, right? I still, like, even talking about the video right now, I still remember the screams of the guy, right? Like, that's somebody's dad. That's somebody's brother. That's somebody's kid, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's dehumanizing how they're just, and then the ICE agent just do it like nothing. And then Walmart employees just like, oh, you can't record, like, bro, do something, right? Like, ese es el tipo de potencia que me da a lo que te hablaba ahorita. It's just that it's like, do something, bro. Like, you're there. You know, you could have stopped this. You could have prevented this. But yet, here we are, right? It still happened. What can we do about that?
Yeah, and I think about like how prevalent this has been, especially in this city, with a lot of unsheltered people, and how desensitized people are to violence at this point. So much so that we don't know how to de-escalate. We only know how to escalate things. And that's really unfortunate, because what does that look like in schools?
Right.
The kids have been suffering for a while from like gun violence. We just had another shooting today at UNM. One person was killed, another injured.
I saw
and
that
critical.
in the morning. Yeah. So you were talking to me about the UNM incident that happened early morning, right?
And how this has been going on for a while. Like, our kids are telling us that one of the most important issues, or most prevalent issues that they're having conversations around is, yes, immigration at home, and at school it's the gun violence.
Right.
And how we're seeing that, and how that's like bled into their culture, and it's so normalized for them that they're also like starting to get desensitized to the violence. And it reminds me the way that people responded in the video of the man getting tased in Walmart, and how desensitized all those people around the man were, except for the woman that was recording. The only one who had, I thought, a logical reaction of like being upset about it.
Right.
Whereas everyone else was just like, oh, la-di-da, this is just what it is.
It's like a normal day at Walmart. No.
Yeah, it just
like,
happens.
No,
like, no,
this is not a normal day at Walmart. Like,
it shouldn't be normal anywhere.
You don't go to Walmart to see your neighbors getting kidnapped. Like, you don't go to that.
Yeah.
Like,
what if the man
normal.
was like those kinds of screams were literally like shrilling,
like help?
That was like somebody
for help. Literally,
he was in pain. Like,
exactly.
I wonder, like, if a kid was getting stabbed in front of these people, what would they do? Would they also like, oh, that's just what happens. That's just how dangerous the world is now.
Like another day in Walmart again. Like, no, bro. Like, it's truly dystopian, the way we are living at right now, and the desensitization that's happening around all of us, right?
Yeah. It's really messed up. And I like, we just had to, well, we're always working with youth here at NMDT, but you've been working with youth for a while now. Have you seen a difference in their spirits over time? I can talk a little bit about that. You know, I started organizing in 2022, October 2022. My peak organizing, I want to say, when I first started was going to be like beginning of 2023. Of course, election talk was barely there, right? We knew that Biden was still in charge and all that stuff.
the kids, they were interested. They were still really, you know, really there and present for the time that it was, and they wanted to be involved as much as they could, help out the community as much as they could. And I can assure you that everything changed when El Trompas got elected again. Like I it was like a 180 shift, not only on like not like no en algo malo, sino en algo bueno, ¿verdad? Porque
Mhm.
at that time I was already organizing inside of schools,
Mhm.
right? So I had already built my solid base in a couple of schools. And the moment Trump went into office, I also saw a big influx on people wanting to know about the Dream Team and wanting to see how could they support the Dream Team more. Right? We saw an increase of people understanding that Trump in office meant more attacks for immigrant communities, and it also meant that most of these kids, they're first generation born here, but like their parents and their siblings, like they must be or they have somebody who is undocumented, right? And I saw that with Trump's re-election, you just saw that people cared more. People understood what was at stake at this time, and a lot of people stayed involved, right? Like for example, um, our the immigrant workers' day of action in the capital in
Yeah,
febrero,
that
sí,
was
verdad?
like one of the big ones.
Right, yeah, and like when I talked about it with the kids, right, and I was like, hey guys, like this is happening. We're gonna take a couple of you guys over there who's interesting. Like me and the sponsors of the chapters, like we even had to cut some people out because of the amount of people that wanted to go, right? But we didn't have enough transportation. But even though that we didn't have the transportation, like people still made it a priority and drove all the way over there to be part of this, right?
Wow.
Like the feeling of coming together and understanding community power really showed. And that not only like this amount of support doesn't come alone. I think it also comes with a lot of fear, a
Mhm.
lot of fear mongering, a lot of like anxiety, a lot of depression, because you know at the same time that they're putting themselves out there, they're going into the capital chanting undocumented, unafraid, being the voice of the voiceless. Like at the same time, like it's still on their mind, right? Like it's still in the back of their mind that their parents can get kidnapped and deported at any moment in their life, right? Or even themselves, right? Even if they're on actual, U.S. citizens, right? Even just because they look brown, right? Or they profile you because of a certain way that you're speaking, or the accent that you carry, right? Or the way that you dress, like that type of stuff, like, o sea, queriendo o no queriendo, se te queda en la parte de atrás de tu cabeza, right? And you try to go with your life, like día a día, pero ese sentimiento no se te va, ¿verdad? Y menos si cada 2 días que te metes a TikTok, que te metes a Instagram, like there's another ICE raid, or there's another case of someone who passed away in a detention center, right? Or there's this other talk that Trump is trying to do this or do that, right? Like it just keeps going. It's a constant, like a snowball, right? That keeps building. And something that we should really focus on, and I tell this to the kids, is just like understanding the yes, this is happening. Yes, how can I show up for people? Like what resources do I have and what can I do? And also how can I take care of myself? Because like I said earlier, and I want to start standing big on that business of like before I help others, I gotta help myself out first, right? Like I gotta be okay with myself for me to show up to these spaces to help other people. Porque no puedo llegar a ayudarles si estando yo mal,
Mm.
¿verdad?
Mhm.
Porque no sé, no vamos a llegar a nada. Pero yeah, like I said, I see the kids more committed to this work for sure. Um, but I also see them more scared, and I think it's okay because it is scary times, but we're not alone, right? Like I think Summer Dreams taught us that. Just the fact that we just had our graduation, and one of the speeches really stuck with me. How somebody said that people from different demographics, different backgrounds, like they still came together, got to know each other, fought for the same cause, and thankfully created like relationships that are, I wish and I hope they last like long times, because that's what it is. That's what it's about.
Yeah. And huge shout out to the Summer of Dreams participants. Y'all, like, we mean it when we said that it wasn't just a one-sided teaching experience. It was an experience of us learning a lot from y'all as well. And it wasn't just memes or cultural. That made me feel old at times.
It wasn't just meme cultures, K-pop meme hunters.
Oh my gosh, yes, that was beautiful. Honestly, like that changed a lot for me. But I really appreciate the way that you said, like, there is hope, especially in the youth. We were talking about it in one of the summer programs, and we were talking about especially the tools that we need in order for us to survive moments like this, and how these programs really help them to gain those tools and gain it with experience and with praxis, so that they can continue their education or whatever journey they're going to go on with this new skill set. And I thought about that, especially at the end of our graduation ceremony yesterday, when everybody was, I don't know about everybody, maybe me and a couple other people were crying, and just like how proud we were for the kids. And I think about how kids from families that have more resources, this is something normal to them. They always have, not always, but like they constantly have access to summer programs, summer camps, summer resources that build them up for these things, whether it's socializing them at a camping retreat, or putting them in like some kind of sports summer camp to prepare them for like the college leagues or whatever. And I think that our children, that are coming from working class families, that are coming from immigrant families that don't have the same access to language,
and like not even access of language, like also like understanding that they don't have the time. Most of them don't have that time. They were working. They don't have the money, right? Like it's a constant battle for all of this. Girl, are you okay with that microphone? Because you've been fighting.
To fix it.
You've been fighting that microphone for a bit, and look, it's winning.
It's kind of winning, yeah. It's like
she's having a moment right now. Hold on. When we're back, okay. But yeah. I totally agree, and I see that point of like,
Yeah, our kids deserve to have these tools. They deserve to have programs that are catering to them specifically and thinking about or centering their identities, their challenges. And I wish we could do more for them, even in the capacity that we have built. I wish we could do more. I wish we could reach more children, because in the time that we've spent with our kids, I've been able to see how I understand why they're so depressed. I understand why they feel so hopeless sometimes. And I think back to, when I was going through my teenage years and how like emo I was, and how like, like
it's not a phase, Mom.
Yeah, very much so. And a lot of those things were me finding myself and trying to figure out what my role is in the world. And we are also living post-COVID. A lot of these kids literally lost years of their life to this pandemic, have to grow up in an economy that literally was built to leave them and some of their families to die, and they saw it. They lost a lot of connection, a lot of that socializing skills, and not everybody has the same access to catch up.
And like, for example, like we're talking about kids who, when their graduations, or also even like the first beginning of a couple of years of high school, without like actually socializing because of COVID, right? Like COVID really came and shook the world and left like a fucking diva. No, it didn't leave. COVID is very real, guys. COVID is very real. Okay, please keep taking care of yourself. But you know what I mean, right? Like it really did a 180 shift in the way that we as a society work. Because like, girl, we survived a freaking pandemic. Like, yeah, that's still kind of crazy for me.
It changed a lot of things, and some things for the better. We have more hybrid policies, hybrid activities and things like that, apps to facilitate long distance relations like that, communications and things like that. I thought that was innovative. Also shows, how much like these things were always possible. They just weren't prioritized before.
Right.
But that's neither here nor there. It also changed the way that, immigration conducts business as well. When we pre-COVID, I remember there was a fight to kick a detention center out of Florida. And this was a campaign that was successful, and it was really, really innovative. It was one of those cases that definitely influenced the way that I think about strategy and opportunities as an organizer then and now. But the case that was happening in Florida was, of course, GEO Group, all those big businesses in incarceration, were trying to build a detention center in, I believe it was Fort Lauderdale, right above Fort Lauderdale. And they were going through with the permit from the city. They were getting the funding. They were moving to make this a reality. And someone, I think I don't even know what department, but somehow the plans were leaked and community found out. Organizers found out about this. And so they started to mobilize to resist against that for a whole list of reasons. But ultimately, what did away with this detention center effort was not people protesting, but somehow someone found that the contract with these plans to build a detention center were committing some kind of, not fraud, but they weren't taking into consideration some kind of safety protocol with like the water or something like that. And so because of that, they weren't allowed to continue the project, and they had to completely do away with it. Like they lost the contract. They lost the ability to build on that land, develop it. It was incredible. It was an incredible win.
Was the detention center closed down as well because of that?
Yeah, well, they didn't close out a detention center. They just couldn't build a new one.
Sorry. That's true. Okay.
And so that was a victory for community. Right. Did away with it, moved on. COVID happens, and then alligator Alcatraz pops up.
Oh,
and I was like, oh my God. Yeah, literally, oh my God.
Don't even get me started on that.
It came back. And it succeeded. Barely, because like you saw how like within the first day of it being
Wasn't
open,
it flooding?
It was flooding within the first day of opening. So like, it's incredible. I don't think that the things that were able to make it a success to beat the previous plan is going to work with this one now. And especially like post-COVID, like it showed us how health is not as important for the state, for this administration. And to connect it back to what we were talking about with the kids, they're suffering a major crisis in their mental health and in their health. Yeah. And it's incredible to see how they find ways to resist as well when they make friends.
And we're talking about like people that, survived COVID, and they're also going through all of this right now. Right. Mm-hmm. Like, and let's not forget, like, we're not only talking about the youth, you and I also went through COVID. We're also going through this right now. Mm-hmm. Like, as organizers, we like live, like drink and breathe this. You know what I mean? Like, it's our job, literally. But don't even get me started on alligator Alcatraz.
Let's get started on Alcatraz. I saw that there's an effort to not call it alligator Alcatraz because that's what they're like, building merch off of it. How inhumane.
They are. That's insane.
Inhumane. It's literally a
MG. It's insane. Like, how? And then all of you guys over there that I hope none of you guys bought merch, but whoever bought merch, oh my God, en serio que hay un Dios que todo lo ve, y les juro que esas cosas no están chidas.
Porque it's gotta be cursed.
It gotta be, bro, porque no es posible que la gente esté comprando mercancía de un centro de detención que está siendo comprado con una cámara de concentración de los nazis.
Yeah.
O sea, like, do you understand what you're getting yourself into? Like, I don't know. It's insane. People who bought the merch is stupid. It's just it gets me so pissed off, dude. I don't like it. And then what's I don't know, man. Es que me enoja muchísimo. Se me hace.
That's insane.
¿A cuánto están?
30.
$30. Una playera. Y te apuesto que ni de calidad ha de ser. Te apuesto que esa playera la pones a lavar, güey, y a la segunda lavada ya no te queda y se le cayó todo lo que tenía pegado.
I hope so.
Así de fácil.
But I also think about like alligators are actually like they've been in that swamp for a long time. And it's funny how these mostly colonizers, they are all colonizers, are using this name and this image of the alligator to like portray like the violence that they're going to impact on people.
And we're so fierce like an alligator. Like type of stuff. Like that's what they want the general public to look, right, and see and be like, oh yeah.
Oh, this is so tough. They're so tough.
This is
but
sick.
They can't even hire willing security that wants to work there because of how dangerous the conditions are, even for their own employees.
Exactly. And like I saw a video like a couple days after Alligator Alcatraz opened up where like local Florida food trucks were going there to feed the employees. Are you kidding me?
Insane.
Like I understand wanting more and wanting to go, you know, make business because it is a small business at the end of the day. It's a food truck, right? Like, but out of all the places in Florida that you could have gone to,
sellouts. Oh Lord.
And I was so happy to whoever recorded that TikTok calling them out, because I remember I saw the TikTok about it, like all of this like negocios coming in and out, whatever, of Alligator Alcatraz, and then they went out of business.
Good.
Like people stopped buying.
Good.
And like
they should suffer from being.
And like most of them were like, oh, like we don't deserve this, and it's like, why are you going there in the first place?
It's
like,
just capitalism. It's just the free market. It's the invisible hand.
Exactly.
People didn't like you doing that. Now you're going out of business. Point blank. Period. Make better decisions, maybe.
Exactly. If it ain't the consequences of your own actions. Mm-hmm. Literally, dude.
And that's what I'm kind of predicting, kind of looking for in the upcoming months. I'm not wishing any harm on anybody. And this is a concentration camp that has been built like basically out of twigs and napkins almost to hold so many people, men, children, and women.
It's so like in Alligator Alcatraz shows you that we have the money, the manpower to create shelters for our own shelter folks, the people living in the streets. We can make shelters for them, but you see where the money is going to.
In the middle of a swamp where the state is increasingly getting worse and worse hurricanes, and hurricane season has started. So if they want their mascot to be the alligator, which I think is wrong, I don't know. I feel like Mother Earth is going to have something to say about that. And I mean, I just really pray and am keeping the people that are suffering there against their will in my thoughts, because that is really unfortunate and a really dangerous situation. And I know that they don't take it seriously, and we have to watch it. That's the really sad part.
That's the hard part, right? Like, y de nuevo viene la impotencia de no poder hacer algo, de no poder llegar y cerrar ese pinche lugar feo, ¿sabes? O sea.
Yeah, I know. I don't know if you saw the news about the group of white individuals in Texas that shot up an ICE center.
I have not. Tell me about
there was a group of, they called them vigilantes, and this was just a group of like all white people that pretty much allegedly ambushed ICE officials at a center, set up some fireworks to get some of the people to come outside, and then allegedly there was like some kind of shootout that occurred, and they were detained, they were arrested, they were tried. But as much as like the news likes to sensationalize any kind of like exchange of fire, or like, you know how like they'll take any excuse to criminalize black and brown people, it wasn't the case with this news, with this story. It was more hush hush until like it started to get on TikTok, and specifically influencers started to talk about this. I thought that was really interesting. That was the only way that this story caught wind. Otherwise, it would have just been kind of like swept away. And it makes me wonder, like, why is this specific story not
being talked
given,
about, right?
not given the same kind of attention, especially like, again, compared to what we saw in Walmart, where this brown man was being brutalized in public with people just watching.
Yeah.
Insane. That those instances make me think like people really do want to see us
example,
suffer.
I hear a lot of people like in the comment sections, for example, of that Walmart thing, right? I saw a couple of comments of people like, oh, well, we can't do anything. Like, oh, that's so unfortunate. Like, no, bro, you can do stuff. Like you can do stuff. Like, it's just, it sucks that, you know, the government has put us in a bubble where it makes us believe that we don't have power. They made us believe that like we're just herd, you know, o sea, somos nomás ovejitas y tenemos que ir el camino que nos digan, el camino que tenemos que seguir. Pero no es así. O sea, te lo juro, si 5 o 10 personas se hubieran puesto enfrente del Señor, protegiendo al Señor de los agentes se hubieran ido así. Porque al final del día nos tienen miedo. Porque somos muchísimos más que ellos.
I like that. Do you feel like seeing these things has also given you like a sense of empowerment? You've talked about how it makes you want to wish that you could do something about it immediately. Do you feel like it has empowered you to do maybe other things in your life?
Yeah, like I want to say yes. I think it's definitely empower the way I do my work. Like it feels like it's always felt personal and like really, really like connected to my heart, to my values, and to what I grew up with. But like now more than ever, like I feel more of a commitment of doing this work because of everything that's going on. I grew my whole high school, my four years of high school with Donald Trump in office for the first time. Like I remember the night I woke up when Trump first got elected. Like, I mean, not the night, the day I woke up, right after election, that I saw that, you know, he had won. My heart sank, right? I felt like, oh my God, like this is it, right? And I had the same feeling the morning after when I woke up this second re-election, right? But the only thing that's different now is that now I understand my rights, and now I understand the power that my story holds, because I've already gone to the legislative session. I share my story. I've seen good bills passed. I've seen good bills died as well. But I know that it's not the end. I know that there's always something to look forward to. I know that the rage that it gets me seeing that ugly ass orange face, like that rage that it builds, like I know that now I can turn it into my work. I can turn it into policy. I can turn it into making people feel power. Right? Because back in the day when I was just in high school, I still hadn't met the dream team at that moment, right? I felt so hopeless. And like I remember I just had that rage inside of me. Like I couldn't put it anywhere else. It was just there, building and building and building. And throughout, you know, a couple of years after that, like that rage starts turning into inertia, right? And it starts turning into hopelessness. Starts turning into like, oh, pues, ¿qué voy a hacer? Estoy enojado, pero pues no estoy haciendo nada, ¿verdad? And como te dije ahorita, like just right now at this moment, like the rage is there, because ew, ugly, second one, right? And then now I can just like put it into work and understand that like I can turn that rage into hope instead of hopelessness, right? Like I can turn my inertia into action, right? Like there's like a pathway for me to deal with these emotions. And it feels nice because like, you know, it feels like a full circle moment that, you know, Trump unfortunately got reelected, but now I'm working with kids who might go through their high school experience with Trump in office.
A second time, yeah.
Well, the first time for them, right?
First time for them.
Yeah. but like personalmente. Like it just feels nice because it's like now I can be that guidance for the youth who looked like me, who were me at a point, who didn't have that a guidance, right? Who didn't know that that rage they're building onto can be turned into something powerful, right? But now I can't do that, and I can be there for them, and I can show them that even though it feels hopeless, there's always hope. Y pues la esperanza es lo último que muere. So
You mentioned that now, compared to when you were young, you are able to build a way now for your anger, for the inertia that you feel inspired by these horrible things that we're seeing online. What are some of those tools that have helped you channel that and find that path?
I want to say
You said know your rights was one of them.
right, like understanding my rights for sure. Safety protesting also really came a lot into play. Like if you go to episode 1 of Beyond the Stars, you can hear my story on how I got involved in my first ever protest. But long story short, like being in that protest, like finally saying undocumented, unafraid, sin papeles, sin miedo, like out loud for the first time in like ever, it felt amazing. It felt liberating. It felt like taking like a piece of like big like metal off your shoulders. You know what I mean? It's just it's amazing to know that all of these tools are there and it's just up to us and what we do with them and what we want our life to go forward with that. You know what I mean? And you know, I was mentioning the safety protesting stuff. Like with that, it also came like I mentioned, like knowing my rights, right? Understanding that, you know, I can remain silent if an ICE officer comes up to me, right? I can refuse any searches, right? Like I don't consent to any of your searches. Like I don't want you to look at my stuff. Like those are type of like rights that I didn't know I had until I started like going into mecha, going into protests, understanding the Constitution and all of that kind of stuff, right? And I understood that all of these rights apply to anybody who's in the U.S. soil, right? Regardless of your skin color, regardless of your background, regardless of your ethnicity, like you still have these rights. And, you know, going back to our people listening, like don't ever forget that you have those rights. And
yeah, those civil rights were fought really hard for.
exactly. Like our generations before us, you know, painted the pathway for us to do it right now. And it's up to us to continue upholding and
to know them
and continue teaching people about them, right? Because like
these are
this
our tools
government, I'd say that again.
These are the tools from them that they've passed on to us.
Exactly. Yes. And like this government wants us to forget about those tools. They want us to feel powerless. They want us to be like, oh, pues que no se puede hacer nada. Pero es que sí se puede. O sea, cabrón, sí se puede. Sí se puede, literal.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and then like also like at this point in my life, I know we were talking about like how it's different from Trump's first presidency to right now. At this point in my life, like I feel so grateful to be able to go around New Mexico and Albuquerque and do know your rights trainings, right? Letting people know about these rights, about remaining silent, not consenting to any searches, understanding private spaces, right? And the power private spaces holds, right? And how, you know, ICE agents or federal agents cannot go into any private space or private property without a judicial warrant signed by a judge. Like this kind of stuff is things that I didn't know back then that I wish I knew so I could, you know, teach more people. I wish I would have told my mom sooner about all of this, right? But por una razón u otra no pasó. Pero like thankfully here I am now. I learned all of that and now I'm teaching it, right? I am a liberated gatekeeper because I'm not only allowing people to understand more and create safe spaces, but I'm also being part of those, right? Be putting mis granitos de arena, my 2 cents into that stuff, fighting for the good cause. And it feels amazing. And I really strive to build that pathway for future generations, for our Summer Dream youth, for our little 8, 9-year-olds that came to our Summer Dream this year, right? Like they are the future. And I truly believe that they have the power to change it and to build a future not only for them to be good, but for our generation who's still going to be part of that future in a way, right? Maybe we're not gonna be there at the front lines, but we're still gonna be in that generation, right?
You mentioned liberated gatekeeper. Could you tell folks what that means?
A liberated gatekeeper is kind of what we want, our youth and our membership to become. There's three types of gatekeepers. We have the good gatekeepers, the bad gatekeepers, and the liberated gatekeepers. And I guess I can tell the story about the river and the baby.
Okay, let's get into the story of
So
it.
this is una analogía, right? Is that what they call it?
Mhm.
Analogy. The liberated gatekeeper, right? So let's say you're walking down the street, right? And there's a river beside you. And suddenly you see a baby drowning in the river. OMG. Like, what are you going to do, right? Your first instinct is going to try to save the baby. So you go in there, you grab the baby, you bring the baby out, right? That makes you a good gatekeeper because you took that decision to wanting to go and take the baby out. But as you take that baby out, you look upstream and then there's one more. And then you look a little bit more upstream and then there's another baby. ¿Qué pasó? Why is there babies in the river? So your first instinct again is to try to keep him out, right? So you keep going inside the river, grabbing one, bringing it out. You dry them, leave them on the sidewalk, and then go back, grab another one, dry them, leave them on the sidewalk, right? And as you're doing that, there's more people coming by, right? Maybe there's 5, a little group of friends coming by. Maybe 3 of those friends jump in with you, right? And you create a system. So now you're the one in the river getting the baby out. There's one person in the sidewalk drying them, and then there's another person keeping the babies together, right? And putting them together and waiting for people to come and pick up the babies, right? But maybe the other 2s, they didn't care. They were like, they looked at the babies. They're not my babies. They're not my family. Why should I care? And they kept walking.
Away.
Exactly. They kept walking. They scroll away, hypothetically, because they were walking.
This is not about babies. But continue.
That makes you a bad gatekeeper, right? Because you see what's going on, but yet you don't make action. You don't understand what's going on. But enough about the bad gatekeepers. Let's continue with our good gatekeepers, right? They're still, they created an organization.
They're doing what they can.
Right? They created an organization of saving babies from the river, right? Everybody has a specific role, and those roles together creates like a good system, right? And you do that. You're in the river getting babies out. You do it for a couple of years. And then you start asking, like, why are there so many babies? Why are so many babies coming out of the river?
Damn, yeah, for years.
For years, exactly, right? And that's when you start thinking of that's when you start thinking of how to become a liberated gatekeeper, because you start asking the why, right? Now you're not only in the river getting babies out, now you're walking upstream, going to see where these babies are coming from.
Who is putting them in there?
Who's putting
what's going on? Why the babies?
Exactly. You're asking the why, the most important question. Why is this happening? And that makes you a liberated gatekeeper, because you don't only took the choice to help out the babies, you took the initiative to understand how is this happening, why is this happening, and what can we do to stop it, right? Because that's what we want. That the organization of the getting babies out the river, they want to stop doing the work. They don't want babies in the river anymore, because babies don't belong in rivers, right?
Mm.
So liberated gatekeepers trying to understand why are the babies coming out in the river.
I think my favorite part about this story is how it differentiates that if you want to do the work of liberation, if you want to call yourself someone that is a revolutionary or whatever people are calling themselves, because there's a lot of performative people, but if you really want to embody like the values that it takes to free ourselves and others from these systems, you have to challenge, asking your questions, asking why, and you have to look for ways to get to the root cause. A lot of people oftentimes engage with these issues and get lost real easily because they're not trying to get to the root cause. They just want to understand maybe the flowery language and just engage in that. And that's not going to liberate anybody. We need more and more people to look for the root cause of these issues so that they can engage with us and so that we can work together and bring our different perspectives of the same root cause and find those solutions. It's not enough to just create the nonprofits or create, the systems or the carpools to try to save a few kids, because we only have so many hands, we only have so many hours, we only have so much capacity as a team. We have to look for ways to look beyond and go beyond and look upstream to see what's going on that maybe we can't see from our position. We have to be willing to move, to challenge ourselves, to change something. Oh, that was funny. We have to change something about ourselves, starting with this mic. No, I'm kidding. I think that's really powerful, especially in this work, because these ICE raids, these things that we're seeing online, definitely have caused me to think about these things.
And like, for example, let's bring the story of the river and the babies to real life, to ICE raids happening, right? What would make you a bad gatekeeper when we're talking about ICE raids that you see online?
Mm-hmm.
You said it earlier. The scrolling away,
mm-hmm.
right? Like, you see it, you're like, oh, híjole, qué mal. Sheesh. Ni modo, ¿no?
Mm-hmm.
Boom, el que toca, el que sigue. My next TikTok. Hee haha. No, bro. Like, that makes you a bad gatekeeper. Because, like, you know what's happening and you decide to actively choose to ignore it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That makes you a bad gatekeeper. Now, what would make you a good gatekeeper when we talk about ICE? What do you think?
Maybe posting a comment, being like,
right.
Oh, this makes me so upset. This is horrible. Like, yes, it is.
Yeah,
right.
like,
yes.
Share it, let other people's feed see this and know that, like, this is happening, this is real. Keep posting about it. That makes you a good gatekeeper. Now, what would make you a liberated gatekeeper?
Going to know your rights, trainings.
Exactly.
Trying to connect with community.
Correct.
Maybe if the family impacted is in your neighborhood, hey, how can I help you? Can I bring your groceries? Can I take your kids to school?
Exactly. Getting yourself involved in nonprofits, right? I would love to see membership coming up to us and be like, hey, teach me how to do a know your rights training.
And responding, because we've gotten some questions for volunteers, and I reach out to them and they're like, they ghost us. Not you ghosting the movement. How are you going to do that? How are you going to do that?
Not with that movement. No, but
Superman would never. No, I'm kidding.
No, but for real,
like,
guys.
what the heck?
For real, guys. Like, liberated gatekeepers, we need more of those. We love our good gatekeepers. Sharing the word it's important. Letting people know what's happening, it's important. If you see ICE in your community, take a picture, date it, put a timestamp on it.
Learn to spot ICE.
That's to spot ICE.
Important.
Right? Because, come on, people. Like, we don't need more fear-mongering. Like, ya tenemos suficientes. Like, no ocupamos un post en Facebook que diga ICE en Isleta and Bridge.
The way some people act sometimes is scary enough.
Exactly.
We don't need vigilantes.
Yeah, like, it's just...
Oh, no. Even in that... I remember that before Trump was even elected, there was a guy that showed up he claimed that he worked for one of these security agencies that was being contacted to initiate these contracts that ICE has with these vigilante agencies now. And I think this was in some state that starts with an M. I can't remember if it was Massachusetts or Maine, but something like that. And he was challenging, like, in this town hall, like, what are y'all going to do about this? I'm letting you know now before it happens that we're being asked to consider or to put a price on people's lives that we're going to detain on behalf of ICE. What are you going to do about it? Because
people's lives don't need a price. There's no price of money you could give for somebody's life, bro. Like,
yeah. And these people gave the warning, and
they still didn't.
It's really interesting how it's not till just now that cities, mayors are starting to consider, what can we do? What do we have the power to do? You should have been doing this a long time ago. Even if you really were.
Even before Trump went into office. Like, this immigration issue, like, not only comes and goes when Trump is in office. This is not a one-time thing or a 4-year thing. Like, this is a constant our people have lived with for years, for generations. Like, our people have suffered from this. And we need to do the work. We need to be in the field right now doing all of this for our next generation not to go through that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I'm sick and tired of, people pretending that this is a temporary issue when it isn't. It really isn't. And people, right now it's us. Right now it's a Latino. It's the immigrant community. But tomorrow, it could be anybody. Like this government doesn't care about us, right? Like it doesn't. It really doesn't, man. And you can see it when they pass the I fucking hate poor people bill, right? Like that big beautiful bill one. Like ¿qué más ocupas para hacerte entender que esto no está trabajando para ti? Like this government is not working for you, young entrepreneur who wants to start its business.
Ooh.
This government is working for the big monopoly who's making your business run out of business.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what this government is working for.
Yeah.
Not you, not the working class people. It's working for the rich ones. It's working for the ones in power. It's working for the hungry ones who need more power, who want more power.
An episode talking on the economics of this, because I think we could get like really deep into that for sure, and talk about like how this economic system that we live in literally rewards this kind of behavior, and yet we have poor people that are advocating for it.
Exactly.
Because they don't understand the economics behind it.
Because they were believed to be something else.
Mm-hmm. They thought that they were closer to that American dream, so to speak. Really unfortunate. I've heard how like all skin folk aren't kinfolk, and that's so true. Even in the immigrant and especially in the Latino community, where you have people, our own folks, who you would expect to understand and empathize with what they see, trying to separate themselves to feel more deserving of something that will never be theirs. It's insane.
Yeah.
And in that same breath, we're talking about what tools help us get through this. What can we share with our audience?
Because mental health is important.
To continue to survive. And I think one of the tools that has helped me in my time seeing these attacks and talking with young folk is being able to, like you said, hold these emotions, navigate the conversations, and in therapy, learning the tools to calm my nervous system.
Okay. And then, again, each and everybody's like body is different, right? Like how do each one of us react to this stuff? It's completely different. Sorry, I interrupted you so bad. Continue.
I was like,
you were in a flow.
It's okay. But yeah, we're going to need that more than ever now. Because how we need to make room for the anger. We need to make room for the hope. That's all the emotions that we need to bring to the table when we're talking about solutions, when we're talking about the root causes, trying to get to the bottom of these things if that day will ever come. Surely it probably won't be during our time, but whatever progress we can make, pass it on.
Let's hope it is during our time, right? Like, and I think this is like if I could leave one piece of advice, for generations to come, is that don't lose hope that your generation is not going to see, I'm switching languages porque no lo puedo decir en inglés. Si puedo dejarlos con un pedazo de un consejo, sería de que no pierdan la esperanza de que su generación no va a ver el fruto de lo que están trabajando.
Yeah, because we have the civil rights now, and that wouldn't be possible without the fights from the 50s to the 70s and all that effort.
Exactly.
All those folks, although, there is room to criticize that respectability politics didn't save them then and it's not going to save us now. That's neither here nor there. That's a conversation that we need to have with our elders, and hopefully we can bring an elder of the community at some point to talk about those things. But speaking to the youth, or speaking to ourselves as well, dealing with all these horrific things, and fighting to get out of. I fight sometimes to get out of bed, and
it's
then
valid.
to go to sleep. We fight to go to sleep. We fight to get out of bed.
Girl, we fight.
Yeah,
girl, we fighting. Like, we low-key are. But you know what? Like, at the end of the day, it's also very important for us to talk about this. Like, it felt nice to come up to you and be like, man, I'm angry. Like, man, I'm tired of this. it felt good because it's needed. We can let that rage build up and stay inside. We gotta, get it out. Maybe getting it out looks different for everybody. To me, it's talking about it, right? Maybe going to a protest could help somebody out. Maybe writing it down could help somebody. Making
Yeah.
a song, making art about it. Like just anything that makes you feel good and also doubles up as a way for you to get your rage out, do it. Because now more than ever, and I'm talking to you, and you should know this too. Now more than ever, you guys really gotta, we really gotta take care of ourselves. We really, really have to take care of our mental health because that's exactly what this administration wants. You know, breaking news, everything, así, uno tras otro, for you to feel overwhelmed and for you to shut down and just accept things as they are, making you believe that there's no way out of it. But there is. And that is community action. That is making policies that will be for the better of our communities, protecting our youth, honoring our elders. There's so many different ways on how you can stay involved, stay around, and also take care of yourselves. So please write down in the comments something that you do to keep yourself, away from the hard times that we're living in, right? What's your, qué es tu plan para salirte del momento en el que vivimos? O sea, ¿qué haces para sentirte bien contigo mismo? ¿Qué te trae alegría?
Yeah, we need to talk about taking care of ourselves for real. What does that even mean? What does that look like? And how do we actually engage in that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because
we have to walk the walk. We can't just talk the talk, and
Exactly.
we have to talk the talk for work with our students. So we better figure out.
So here we are.
So we better figure out a way to walk the walk too. Otherwise, like we'll get taken out of this too,
Exactly.
and that's very real.
And especially, for our newer generations of organizers, people who are about to start getting into, they're barely dipping their feet into the organizing pool. It could feel hard. It could feel hopeless. It can feel like the work you do, it's not moving. But trust me, it is. Even if that movement is minimum, know that your work is important and what you're doing is making history. And the nightless sleep and the sleepless nights that you go with the cries, the crying sessions in the middle of the day, whatever that may look like to you, they're worth it because you're making a change. And even if you feel like your organizing doesn't compare to other organizing, all organizing is valid. The point of this is for you to know that you're making a change. And I truly believe that the generation of youth that we have in front of us is going to change the world because they are the change. Because you see it in their faces. You see it in the knowledge. You see it in the tears. You know that they urge for something like this. They want something like this. They need the change. And that need is going to drive them all the way to creating it. And us as, the little bit of an older generation of organizer, it's our duty to help them. It's our duty to guide them. It's our duty to tell them where to go. And not only tell them where to go, but make them walk with us. Make them be part of the decision making. Make them understand that even though because they're organizing in high school or in middle school, like they still have a big say. They can still go to the Capitol and talk to their governor. They can still go and talk to the legislators and let them know, hey, this bill that you're trying to pass, it's affecting me in so many ways.
Yeah, one way that I take care of myself in this work has been journaling. And journaling is a very powerful practice. I mean, we have record now of what was going on in internment camps back in Germany because a young person decided that they were going to write down their experiences. Whether someone else read it or not, that wasn't her concern. She existed, and we know that she existed because she said, I exist and my words matter one way or another, if for no one else, for at least myself.
Mm-hmm.
And that is such a powerful thing to
if for no one else, at least myself. That's very nice.
Yeah, and having a tool like journaling, having the tools to regulate your emotional system, to engage in this work, to find that next step is so important, because oftentimes this world is not going to validate our youth. It's not going to validate us because it doesn't see value in us.
Exactly.
And there are so many ways to learn that. However, to have those tools to take the next step, to figure it out, even if you don't have the right people around you, even if you don't have the right support network, there is a way to find your next step if you are willing to engage yourself in these questions, in this process of thinking, reflecting, reading, filling yourself with knowledge, and then journaling about it, write about it, make your TikToks. Who cares? Who cares if like only one person is watching at the beginning? That's as long as you continue talking about these things, whether it's to an audience or to yourself, eventually you will find your people, because you exist, because you are giving your voice the worth that it deserves, the value that it has, and you're recognizing it, and you're not letting other people give you your power. You are taking your power. And I think that that's super important for the youth to have in this moment, not only to survive, but to take care of ourselves. We won't, we will continue to protect our community, our knowledge, our history, if we make the effort to document it. And, you know, journaling can be a lot of things. We used to have diaries at one point. Now we can put it, press record on our phone, and that is one way to keep record. And I really want to encourage youth and myself, I'm talking to myself as well, to do more of that self-documenting, that self-journaling, that self-healing.
I agree. And yeah, don't ever forget that, you know, healing is a part of this movement. Healing is mostly the one thing that gets overlooked the most. But, you know, understanding that healing is just as important as policy really, really sets out to be and make us the leaders that we want to be.
Yeah, I remember that when I was learning about organizing as, you know, an actual lifelong lifestyle, commitment. I remember reading a book about Huey Newton, the leader of the Black Panthers, and how, from this author's perspective, Huey Newton's work was, in this author's words, Huey Newton's life was suicide. It was suicide from the beginning, and it was always going to be suicide. So the unfortunate ending to his life was, in this author's mind, predictable, because back then they didn't have the knowledge of taking care of themselves in the work. It was just work, get the results, and even if that hustle. If that means putting yourself sickness, in
whatever
risk.
That is. Yeah.
Que te lleve la calavera. Fuck it. If you become a martyr, fuck it.
No pasa nada. O sea, es el hecho de hacer el jale. Y es todo lo que importa.
And now we know that we need our people to survive as well. Yes, there will be some martyrs, and that's not the point of organizing. That's not the point of activism. The point is for you to survive and to pass this knowledge on to the next people, because if you don't survive, if we don't survive, then who's going to teach?
Keep it? Oh my God.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Good talk. That was good. Okay, we got to work on that.
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure that one
out. Leave a comment down below what our handshake should be. Yeah, and as we come to the end of the episode, we want to know how you guys take care of yourselves. So drop a like, comment, subscribe, but drop a comment in the comment below.
The comment section.
Drop a comment below.
You know where the comment goes. Just put it there.
You know, you could also send it via pigeon. I would appreciate that. But we want to know how you're taking care of yourselves as well during this horrible, horrible time in our history. We heard from Bryan. Bryan is taking care of himself by being engaged in community, by passing on his knowledge, by making use of the tools that he's been given. I'm journaling. And we want to know what you guys are doing and build our community based on that.
Yeah, because also, all forms of healings are valid.
Yes, with some exceptions. Please prioritize your health in all your ways of healing. If you are in the state of New Mexico, check if your institution has a New Mexico Dream Team chapter. If it doesn't, feel free to send us a message and we will work with you to build that. And if you're outside of the state, please connect with your local immigrant rights organization so that they can help you maybe build a chapter in there, maybe get you incorporated into their organization and see how you can be a part of the movement as well.
Yes, we would love for, people who are watching Beyond the Stars to be like, I was watching an episode and I saw Betzaira and Bryan talking about I can start my own dream team in my school. Yes, king, queen, they, the whatever you are.
Your Majesty.
Your Majesty, we would love for you to start your own dream team chapter because it takes a collective. It takes all of us. So with that in mind, stay involved, like and subscribe, keep an eye out for future events that we are going to have. Stay connected, follow us on social media. Remember, NM Dream Team, mostly in all of our social medias. If not, I'm pretty sure they're probably in the description of the video or somewhere around in the screen, whatever our amazing producers decide to do.
They'll be right here.
Bye, guys.